Welcome to another production of Source Selection Soundbites. These productions foster learning, insight, and the ability to perform. Today's topic addresses key self-scoring workflows. Today we will discuss defining criteria, contractor self-evaluation, and then the government's evaluation and award consisting of a compliance review, validation, and award. The first milestone in the self-scoring evaluation is for the agency to issue clear and transparent criteria that outline the specific requirements and performance metrics. This includes setting forth the type of experience, past performance, or other criteria desired. In addition, the agency should define how it will be verified. For example, let's say the evaluation factor is relevant experience. The solicitation could define acceptable experience as experience performing within the 5 identified performance areas. Then it should go further and explain where the experience may come from, such as single contracts, task order awards under MAX or Federal Supply Schedule BPAs, and single award IDIQ contracts. The solicitation may also expand the type of acceptable experience by stating that more than federal contracts count as relevant experience. Other sources include sources such as state government, foreign government contracts, and commercial contracts. The agency may and should add details that more precisely define what is acceptable, such as the upper limit of the number of projects an offeror can submit, and the minimum dollar value of projects that agency considers to be relevant. Then round things out by stating how to submit documents the agency will use for verification. This is also a good point to inform industry of whether any deviations will be allowed. Once the solicitation is published, the contractor will prepare its self-assessment in accordance with agency instructions. But hopefully, the contractor has been preparing based on prior engagement with the opportunity. At this point, just prior to preparation of its proposal, the contractor should have anticipated certifications, examined its portfolio of performances, ensured understanding of the government's requirements, and enlisted partners as appropriate. After understanding the government's ask, the contractor should identify any requirements that exclude it and fill in the gaps to ensure compliance. The gaps are filled with the contractor's own resources or with partners. Review all compliance parameters such as signatures, dates, and details to make sure the requirements are met. It is a waste of time to work so hard, but be eliminated by a technicality. At this phase, the vendor must meticulously document, and it is advisable to bring in a secondary evaluator to review the package. The goal of this exercise is to ensure strict compliance. The next step is to calculate the points based on the compliance that was verified in the last step. This should be calculated by the vendor and the secondary evaluator. Lastly, the contractor should ensure there are no mistakes in the document verification and self-scoring worksheet. It contains the contractor's self-assessment and provides the location of the documentary evidence for the score. This step ensures the contractor does not receive deduction in points because the agency cannot reconcile the document verification and self-scoring worksheet with the submission. The next thing the agency will do is validate the points claimed, but before they do this, the contracting department will evaluate the proposal to ensure it complies with solicitation requirements. The list of compliances will vary based on the agency's specific requirements, but generally, the agency will review the submission to ensure all documents are submitted in the prescribed format, all material amendments are acknowledged, no exceptions are taken if not allowed, the required signatures are in place, the offer is open for the prescribed period, and the all-important current SAM.gov registration. There may be other things, but whatever the case, the government will have a checklist to ensure compliance with solicitation requirements. The next step is that the agency will validate various aspects of the vendor's submission to ensure it agrees with the points claimed. To the extent that the agency disagrees, it will deduct points and document why it chose to do so. Verification includes processes like the review of the statements of work and validation in SAM.gov. These validations often include alternative methods to substantiate work done as a subcontractor or work performed in the commercial sector as information is not available in SAM.gov. If using the highest technically rated offer or best value methodology, the agency often predetermines the number of awards that will be made. The agency determines who is in line for an award based on the total number of points awarded. In case of a tie, there will either be a tiebreaker to determine who obtains an award or all vendors with that point total receive an award. Even though the most highly rated vendors have been identified based on total points, the agency has to determine that their prices are acceptable in order to proceed to award. At a minimum, this means the agency must determine that their price is fair and reasonable. Depending on the words in the solicitation, pricing may also be evaluated for realism and balance as well. Once all pricing is determined to be acceptable, the agency will make awards to the most highly rated offers. To wrap things up, let's review what we discussed. We discussed that the agency must define the evaluation criteria. Second, we discussed the vendor self-assessment. And third, we discussed the government's compliance review, validation, and award. Thank you for watching another episode of Source Selection Soundbites. For additional information, check out some of the other videos in this series, other Productivity Partners materials, or our Source Selection Answer app that is available on the Google Play Store and Apple Store. In any event, thanks for watching, and see you next time.